imagination than from reality. To study philosophy is nothing but to prepare oneself to die. A happy life consists in tranquility of mind. Old age, the crown of life, our play's last act. Fear of making a mistake involves another. Beauty dies from wine. Youth is reduced by wine. If you wish people to weep, you must weep first. Friends are the companions on a journey, who are to aid each other to persevere on the road to a happier life. Most men and women, by birth or nature, lack the means to advance in wealth and power, but all have the ability to advance in knowledge. Learn silence with the quiet serenity of a meditative mind. Listen, absorb, transcribe, and transform. It's time you realize that you have something in you more powerful and miraculous than the things that affect you and make you dance like a puppet. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Be silent for the most part, or, if you speak, say only what is necessary in a few words. Love not what you want to love, and what you can, what you have. Mingle a little folly with your wisdom. A little nonsense now and then is pleasant. We are just statistics, born to consume resources. Religion is regarded by the common people as true, by the wise as false, and by rulers as useful. A gift consists not in what is done or given, but in the intention of the giver or doer. We learn not in school, but in life. Happiness belongs to the self-sufficient. You can't chase after money. You need to go towards them. For 2 years, a person learns to speak, and then for the rest of his life, he learns to be silent. No one can give you better advice than yourself. Good and evil cannot be treated the same way. Love is the attempt to form a friendship inspired by beauty. It would be less madness to carry firewood into the forest. You may drive out nature with a pitchfork, yet she still will hurry back. Mix a little foolishness with your serious plans. It is lovely to be silly at the right moment. Life is long if you know how to use it. Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart. There is no genius without a touch of madness. All cruelty springs from weakness. It is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness. Do every act of your life as though it were the very last act of your life. To wish to be well is a part of becoming well. But life is very short and anxious for those who forget the past, neglect the present, and fear the future. While we wait for life, life passes. Above the cloud with its shadow is the star with its light. Above all things, reverence themselves. A fool is known by his speech, and a wise man by silence. Wisdom thoroughly learned will never be forgotten. Death smiles at us all. All we can do is smile back. Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. Take full account of what excellencies you possess, and in gratitude remember how you would hanker after them if you had them not. Ability without honor is useless. To teach is a necessity. To please is sweetness. To persuade is a victory. Even those philosophers who wrote treatises against fame did not forget to put their name in the title of their book. Virtue, dear friend, needs no defense. The surest guard is innocent. None knew, till guilt created fear, what darts or poisoned arrows were. Fool makes a fortune of those it favors too much. You procure the noblest building materials when only a pick and a spade are needed, and you build a house 500 feet long and 100 feet wide, forgetting a dwelling 6 feet. To wish to be well is a part of becoming well. But life is very short and anxious for those who forget the past, neglect the present, and fear the future. While we wait for life, life passes. Whatever can happen at any time can happen today. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Because a thing seems difficult for you, do not think it impossible for anyone to accomplish. Remember when life's path is steep to keep your mind even. Adversity has the effect of eliciting talents which, in prosperous circumstances, would have lain dormant. The man who mingles the useful with the sweet carries the day by charming his reader and at the same time instructing him. Freedom is secured not by the fulfilling of men's desires, but by the removal of desire. Circumstances don't make the man. They only reveal him to himself. It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. It does not matter how many books you have, but how good the books are. It is difficult to bring people to goodness with lessons, but it is easy to do so by example. It is a tough road that leads to the heights of greatness. Wisdom is the only thing which can banish sorrow from the breast. It is a great thing to know your vices. Thrift is an important source of wealth. What we read with pleasure, we read again with pleasure. People don't like when you repeat it twice. Count your birthdays with gratitude. Nature herself has imprinted on the minds of all the ideas of God. It is the peculiar quality of a fool to perceive the faults of others and to forget his own. He only employs his passion who can make no use of his reason. The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Humans have come into being for the sake of each other, so either teach them or learn to bear them. It can ruin your life only if it ruins your character. Otherwise, it cannot harm you, inside or out. Happiness should be asked from God. Wisdom should be acquired by yourself. What then is freedom? The power to live as one wishes. Stupidity tends to see other people's vices and forget about their own. Don't even dare trust a wife that says you're always right. In old age, we all regret not having killed laziness in ourselves. Do not marry after 40, because marriage is not provided by nature. Admonition instead of hate. Smile instead of contempt. He who has injured thee was either stronger or weaker than thee. If weaker, spare him. If stronger, spare thyself. It is more civilized to make fun of life than to bewail it. Whatever can happen at any time can happen today. Mothers are fonder than fathers of their children because they are more certain they are their own. Nothing destroys a person as much as a prolonged inaction. Don't trust a wife who lets herself not trust you. We need to eat and drink enough so that our strength is restored and not suppressed. A mental stain can neither be blotted out by the passage of time nor washed away by any waters. To be content with what we possess is the greatest and most secure of riches. The most beautiful of all creations is a well-educated person. A smart person fights passion, but a fool becomes its slave. Anyone who can make you angry becomes your master. In peace, as a wise man, he should make suitable preparation for war. How slight and insignificant is the thing which casts down or restores a mind greedy for praise. Clogged with yesterday's excess, the body drags the mind down with it. Never forgive a friend who betrayed you once. He will betray you again. Drunkenness does not give rise to vices. It reveals them. The part of life we really live is small, for all the rest of existence is not life, but merely time. To win true freedom, you must be a slave to philosophy. Of this one thing, make sure against your dying day that your faults die before you do. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Mastery of reading and writing requires a master. Still more so, life. Life is very short and anxious for those who forget the past, neglect the present, and fear the future. A man must stand erect, not be kept erect by others. We live only now. Everything else either past or is unknown. No man can escape his destiny. The next inquiry being how he may best live the time that he has to live. If you have a garden and a library, you have everything you need. True law is right reason in agreement with nature. It is of universal application, unchanging and everlasting. It summons to duty by its commands and averts from wrongdoing by its prohibitions. Be rather than seem. He who laughs at himself never runs out of things to laugh at. Nature hath given men one tongue but 2 ears, that we may hear from others twice as much as we speak. Leave off asking what tomorrow will bring, and whatever day's fortune will give, count them as profit. Think to yourself that every day is your last. The hour to which you do not look forward will come as a welcome surprise. Don't try to cover your mistakes with false words. Rather, correct your mistakes with examination. Sobriety is the strength of the soul, for it preserves its reason unclouded by passion. Concern should drive us into action and not into depression. There is no enjoying the possession of anything valuable unless one has someone to share it with. To be always fortunate and to pass through life with a soul that has never known sorrow is to be ignorant of one half of nature. The best ideas are common property. Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. Your days are numbered. Use them to throw open the windows of your soul to the sun. If you do not, the sun will soon set, and you with it. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. It's not a pity that a person was born or died, that he lost his money at home. All his property does not belong to him, but it's a pity if a person loses his true property or his dignity. Friendship improves happiness and abates misery by doubling our joys and dividing our grief. The one to whom the service is rendered should remember about it, and the one who rendered it should not remember about it. In fears and danger, we are more inclined to believe in miracles. Pale death with impartial tread beats at the poor man's cottage door and at the palaces of kings. If there is nothing pleasant without love and fun, live in love and fun. In a miserable situation, don't forget to defend the stability of the soul. The wise are instructed by reason, average minds by experience, the stupid by necessity, and the brute by instinct. The face is a picture of the mind, with the eyes as its interpreter. A mind without instruction can no more bear fruit than can a field, however fertile, without cultivation. The great science of living happily is to live only in the present. If you can become an eagle, do not strive to become the first among the jackdaws. A person who is captured by his passions cannot be free. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. It's not that we have little time, but more that we waste a good deal of it. Whatever happens at all happens as it should. You will find this true if you watch narrowly. To be everywhere is to be nowhere. No man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity. You are lonely not because no one needs you, but because you care about who is next to you. Our life is what our thoughts make it. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? He who fears death will never do anything worthy of a man who is alive. A room without books is like a body without a soul. Knowledge which is divorced from justice may be called cunning rather than wisdom. Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. If you cannot have a faithful friend, be your own friend. Drunkenness is an exercise in madness. He who sows the seeds of murder and pain will not reap joy and love. We live only now. Everything else is either past or is unknown. Progress is not achieved by luck or accident, but by working on yourself daily. In banquets, remember that you entertain two guests, body and soul. And whatever you shall have given to the body, you soon eject. But what you shall have given to the soul, you keep always. The main feature of weak people is the fear of saying what you think is right. It is quality rather than quantity that matters. Everyone prefers belief to the exercise of judgment. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters. Life, if well lived, is long enough. It is reason and wisdom which take away cares, not places affording wide views over the sea. This is a fault common to singers, that among their friends they were never inclined to sing when they were asked. Unasked, they never desist. Either stick to tradition or see that your inventions are consistent. No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. No man can escape his destiny, the next inquiry being how he may best live the time that he has to live. The love you give in life keeps people alive beyond their time. Anyone who was given love will always live on in another's heart. Not being greedy is already wealth. Not being wasteful is income. History is the witness that testifies to the passing of time. It illumines reality, vitalizes memory, provides guidance in daily life, and brings us tidings of antiquities. It is courage, courage, courage that raises the blood of life to crimson splendor. Live bravely and present a brave front to adversity. Live as brave men, and if fortune is adverse, front its blows with brave hearts. Wisdom is the principle and source of beautiful writing. For books are more than books. They are the life, the very heart and core of ages past. The reason why men worked and died. The essence and quintessence of their lives. The greatest virtue of a speaker is not only to say what is necessary, but also not to say what is not necessary. Read at every weight. Read at all hours. Read within leisure. Read in times of labor. Read as one goes in, read as one goes out. The task of the educated mind is simply put, read to lead. Legislation should be the voice of reason, and the judge should be the voice of the law. No person has the power to have everything they want, but it is in their power not to want what they don't have, and to cheerfully put to good use what they do have. If what you have seems insufficient to you, then though you possess the world, you will yet be miserable. He is the most powerful who has power over himself. Gold is tested by fire, women by gold, and man by women and suffering. If we could be satisfied with anything, we should have been satisfied long ago. What really ruins our character is the fact that none of us looks back over his life. When a person spends all his time in foreign travel, he ends by having many acquaintances, but no friends. The best answer to anger is silence. Agreed. But nature set a limit on that, as it did on eating and drinking. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. He who has injured thee was either stronger or weaker than thee. If weaker, spare him. If stronger, spare thyself. If fate does not give you something, it means that it protects you from something. There are no snares more dangerous than those which lurk under the guise of duty or the name of a relationship. Natural ability without education has more often raised a man to glory and virtue than education without natural ability. The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. But life is very short and anxious for those who forget the past, neglect the present, and fear the future. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. To wish to be well is a part of becoming well. Receive without conceit, release without struggle. The more honest men are, the less he suspects others of dishonesty. A low soul always presupposes the lowest motives for noble deeds. To be ignorant of what occurred before you were born is to always remain a child. For what is the worth of human life unless it is woven into the life of our ancestors by the records of history? It is not by muscle, speed, or physical dexterity that great things are achieved, but by reflection, force of character, and judgment. We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them. It is our attitude toward events, not events themselves, which we can control. Nothing is by its own nature calamitous. Even death is terrible only if we fear it. If evil be said of thee, and if it be true, correct thyself. If it is a lie, laugh at it. Attach yourself to what is spiritually superior, regardless of what other people think or do. Hold to your true aspirations, no matter what is going on around you. Confine yourself to the present. No man is free who is not a master of himself. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself in your way of thinking. If you live in harmony with nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to what others think, you will never be rich. Learn to be indifferent to what makes no difference. The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems. Small-minded people blame others. Average people blame themselves. The wise see all blame as foolishness. Respect the past. Be open to the future. The life we receive is not short, but we make it so. We are not ill provided, but use what we have wastefully. Stay calm and serene, regardless of what life throws at you. It is foolish to tear one's hair in grief, as though sorrow would be made less by baldness. Boastful speeches are the first sign of weakness, and those who are capable of great things keep their mouths shut. The life of the dead is set in the memory of the living. Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you now have was once among the things you only hope for. He who is not satisfied with a little is satisfied with nothing. Of all the means to ensure happiness throughout the whole life, by far the most important is the acquisition of friends. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond our power or our will. Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems. Even as we speak, time speeds swiftly away. Begin, be bold, and venture to be wise. Rule your mind, or it will rule you. Hope is a waking dream. To live is to do things, not to acquire them. No great mind has ever existed without a touch of madness. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a harder battle. Every heart sings a song, incomplete, until another heart whispers back. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. Be silent, or let thy words be worth more than silence. No one is free who has not obtained the empire of himself. No man is free who cannot command himself. Educate the children, and it won't be necessary to punish the men. He suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. Strong minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Weak minds discuss people. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. He who is not contented with what he has would not be contented with what he would like to have. Inwardly, everything should be different, but our outward face should conform with the crowd. Anyone who can make you angry becomes your master. The first rule is to keep an untroubled spirit. The second is to look things in the face and know them for what they are. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Humans have come into being for the sake of each other, so either teach them or learn to bear them. If you have no confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won even before you have started. Your enemies can kill you, but only your friends can hurt you. If we are not ashamed to think about it, we should not be ashamed to say it. Death does not concern us, because as long as we exist, death is not here. And when it does come, we no longer exist. You don't develop courage by being happy in your relationships every day. You develop it by surviving difficult times and challenging adversity. Not what we have, but what we enjoy constitutes our abundance. It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Whatever advice you give, be brief. Wisdom is not wisdom when it is derived from books alone. He who has begun something is already halfway done. Dare to be wise. Begin. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. What is a friend? A single soul dwelling in two bodies. Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. Only the dead have seen the end of war. The heaviest penalty for declining to rule is to be ruled by someone inferior to yourself. I am the wisest man alive, for I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing. Do not say a little in many words, but a great deal in a few. Rest satisfied with doing well, and leave others to talk of you as they please. In anger, we should refrain both from speech and action. He suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. The more I know, the more I realize I know nothing. The unexamined life is not worth living. By all means, marry. If you get a good wife, you'll become happy. If you get a bad one, you'll become a philosopher. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. He suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. In times of war, the law falls silent. Kindness is stronger than fear. The authority of those who teach is often an obstacle to those who want to learn. It is not so much our friends' help that helps us, as the confident knowledge that they will help us. The art of living well and the art of dying well are one. The fool's life is empty of gratitude and full of fears. Its course lies wholly toward the future. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Big promises reduce trust. A new vessel smells for a long time of what it was filled with for the first time. He who feared that he would not succeed sat still. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Some save as if they should live forever. Others spend as if they would die right away. A friend to all is a friend to none. Never discourage anyone who continually makes progress, no matter how slow. Nothing can harm a good person, neither in life nor after death. Love is a serious mental disease. Don't judge your greatness by your shadow at sunset. The oldest, shortest words yes and no are those which require the most thought. A man is never as big as when he is on his knees to help a child. If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. Let him who would move the world first move himself. Death may be the greatest of all human blessings. The only good is knowledge, and the only evil is ignorance. Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it. Nature hath given men one tongue but 2 ears, that we may hear from others twice as much as we speak. People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of one thing, in which it is right to be stingy. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. While there's life, there's hope. Endless money forms the sinews of war. The greatest victory is victory over yourself. Nothing is sufficient for the person who finds sufficiency too little. Pleasure is the beginning and end of a happy life. The greatest fruit of justice is serenity. Knowing your flaws is the first step to health. Circumstances don't make the man. They only reveal him to himself. Other people's views and troubles can be contagious. Don't sabotage yourself by unwittingly adopting negative, unproductive attitudes through your associations with others. You are a little soul carrying around a corpse. He who is greedy is always in want. Faults are soon copied. You cross the whole world in search of happiness, and it is always there, at arm's length from any person. Happiness depends upon ourselves. Wishing to be friends is quick work, but friendship is a slow ripening fruit. Happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. One of the penalties of refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. Good people do not need laws to tell them to act responsibly, while bad people will find a way around the laws. The measure of a man is what he does with power. Let no one persuade you by word or deed to do or say whatever is not best for you. Silence is better than unmeaning words. Do not chase after happiness. It is always in you. All cruelty springs from weakness. There is no easy way from the earth to the stars. Life is like a play. It's not the length, but the excellence of the acting that matters. Prefer knowledge to wealth, for the one is transitory, the other perpetual. Mankind is made of two kinds of people: wise people who know they're fools, and fools who think they are wise. Fear of women, love more than hate the man. Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life. If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person. Until we have begun to go without them, we fail to realize how unnecessary many things are. We've been using them not because we needed them, but because we had them. It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. Our life is what our thoughts make it. Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize? A friend is a second self. I am never as busy as during my leisure hours. Silence is one of the great arts of conversation. It is better for you to be free of fear lying upon a pallet than to have a golden couch and a rich table and be full of trouble. Be moderate in order to taste the joys of life in abundance. There is nothing terrible in life for someone who truly understands that there is nothing terrible in non-life. First, learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. No man is free who is not a master of himself. Attach yourself to what is spiritually superior, regardless of what other people think or do. Hold your true aspirations no matter what is going on around you. Make money by fair means if you can. If not, make them by any means. Once a word has been allowed to escape, it cannot be recalled. Anger is a brief madness. Patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. To perceive is to suffer. Those who know, do, Those that understand teach. Ignorance is the root and stem of every evil. There is truth in wine and children. Those who tell the stories rule society. Whatever they think of you, do what you think is fair. Be equally indifferent to blame and praise. Do not look back when leaving. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. Understanding a question is half an answer. Thou shouldest eat to live, not live to eat. Those who are hardest to love need it the most. If a man knows not which port he sails, no wind is favorable. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Here is a rule to remember in future. When anything tempts you to feel bitter, not, "This is misfortune," but, "To bear this worthily is good fortune." The first rule is to keep an untroubled spirit. The second is to look things in the face and know them for what they are. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it. Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. The causes of events are ever more interesting than the events themselves. We must not say every mistake is a foolish one. Law applied to its extreme is the greatest injustice. The greater the difficulty, the more the glory in surmounting it. He who least needs tomorrow will most gladly greet tomorrow. The time when you should most of all withdraw into yourself is when you are forced to be in a crowd. Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. If evil be said of thee, and if it be true, correct thyself. If it be a lie, laugh at it. Small-minded people blame others. Average people blame themselves. The wise see all blame as foolishness. What you have not published, you can destroy. The word once set forth can never be recalled. Who has self-confidence will lead the rest. All that is hidden now will once be revealed by time. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears. Human behavior flows from three main sources: desire, emotion, and knowledge. Education is teaching our children to desire the right things. There are three classes of men: lovers of wisdom, lovers of honor, and lovers of gain. Choose rather to be strong of soul than strong of body. Above all things, respect yourself. Reason is immortal, all else mortal. It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable. The life we receive is not short, but we make it so. We are not ill-provided, but use what we have wastefully. I know you won't believe me, but the highest form of human excellence is to question oneself and others. Man conquers the world by conquering himself. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. He who has overcome his fears will truly be free. The educated differ from the uneducated as much as the living differ from the dead. I count him braver who overcomes his desires than him who conquers his enemies, for the hardest victory is over self. The life given us by nature is short, but the memory of a well-spent life is eternal. Freedom is participation in power. The reward of friendship is friendship itself. Of all the things which wisdom acquires to produce the blessedness of the complete life, for the greatest is the possession of friendship. If a person fights the clear evidence of his senses, he will never be able to share in genuine tranquility. If thou wilt make a man happy, add not unto his riches, but take away from his desires. It is our attitude toward events, not events themselves, which we can control. Nothing is by its own nature calamitous. Even death is terrible only if we fear it. Give me by all means the shorter and nobler life, instead of one that is longer but of less account. No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. If you don't run while you're healthy, you'll have to run when you're sick. Manage your mood, because if it does not obey, then it commands. In love there are two evils, war and peace. Treat your parents as you would like your children to treat you. when men speak ill of thee, live so as nobody may believe them. An empty vessel makes the loudest sound, so those that have the least wit are the greatest babblers. Friends share all things. As soon as laws are necessary for men, they are no longer fit for freedom. Choose always the way that seems the best, however rough it may be. Custom will soon render it easy and agreeable. Until we have begun to go without them, we fail to realize how unnecessary many things are. We've been using them not because we needed them, but because we had them. What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears. No man was ever wise by chance. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. The high-minded man must care more for the truth than for what people think. There is only one way to avoid criticism. Do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. Learning is not child's play. We cannot learn without pain. What we do now echoes in eternity. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Receive without conceit. Release without struggle. You can't love either the one you're afraid of or the one who's afraid of you. Diseases of the soul are more dangerous and more numerous than those of the body. Impunity is the greatest encouragement of crime. If you shape your life according to nature, you will never be poor. If according to people's opinions, you will never be rich. Contented poverty is an honorable estate. Therefore, foolish is the man who says that he fears death, not because it will cause pain when it arrives, but because anticipation of it is painful. It is unrealistic to expect people to see you as you see yourself. Freedom is secured not by the fulfilling of men's desires, but by the removal of desire. The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. A shoe that is too large is apt to trip one, and when too small, to pinch the feet. So it is with those whose fortune does not suit them. Humor is often stronger and more effective than sharpness in cutting knotty issues. Trying to be brief, you become incomprehensible. The world is boring for boring people. Bad people live to eat and drink. Virtuous people eat and drink in order to live. People are like dirt. They can either nourish you and help you grow as a person, or they can stunt your growth and make you wilt and die. Anger begins in folly and ends in repentance. A blow from your friend is better than a kiss from your enemy. Practice justice in word and deed, and do not get in the habit of acting thoughtlessly about anything. They lose the day in expectation of the night, and the night in fear of the dawn. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. I shall never be ashamed of citing a bad author if the line is good. Difficulty shows what men are. To be everywhere is to be nowhere. Death smiles at us all. All we can do is smile back. Without friends, no one would want to live, even if he had all the other goods. Dignity does not consist in possessing honors, but in the consciousness that we deserve them. Where your talents and the needs of the world cross, there lies your vocation. Your days are numbered. Use them to throw open the windows of your soul to the sun. If you do not, the sun will soon set, and you with it. It is in your power to withdraw yourself whenever you desire. Perfect tranquility within consists in the good ordering of the mind, the realm of your own. If man despises me, that is his problem. My only concern is not doing or saying anything deserving of contempt. In the world, there is nothing better and more pleasant than friendship. To exclude friendship from life is the same as to deprive the world of sunlight. Though silence is not necessarily an admission, it is not a denial either. Don't spoil the impression of what you have by wanting what you don't have. To get great pleasure, you need to limit yourself. The life of a fool is bleak and full of fear, because he puts everything aside for the future. Difficulty shows what men are. We must not believe the many who say that only free people ought to be educated, but we should rather believe the philosophers who say that only the educated are free. A force devoid of reason perishes by itself. He will always be a slave who does not know how to live upon a little. If any man cannot feel the power of God when he looks upon the stars, then I doubt whether he is capable of any feeling at all. Good actions give strength to ourselves and inspire good actions in others. There is in every one of us, even those who seem to be most moderate, a type of desire that is terrible, wild, and lawless. Poets utter great and wise things, which they do not themselves understand. Never trust a friend who speaks bad of his comrades. You should make great things, not promising great things. It is difficult to walk at one and the same time many paths of life. Only time can heal what reason cannot. Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power. If you live in harmony with nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to what others think, you will never be rich. The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. Nothing endures but change. A person's worth is measured by the worth of what he values. The secret to humor is surprise. Fear is pain arising from the anticipation of evil. The only stable state is the one in which all men are equal before the law. A person's worth is measured by the worth of what he values. Whoever does wrong, wrongs himself. Whoever does injustice, does it to himself, making himself evil. The memory of everything is very soon overwhelmed in time. The function of wisdom is to discriminate between good and evil. Nothing stands out so conspicuously or remains so firmly fixed in the memory as something which you have blundered. We are bound by the law so that we may be free. What are you laughing at? A story is told about you with a changed name. The aim of the poet is to inform or delight, or to combine together in what he says both pleasure and applicability to life. Life grants nothing to us mortals without hard work. Any man may easily do harm, but not every man can do good to another. False words are not only evil in themselves, but they infect the soul with evil. A dog has the soul of a philosopher. Enjoy present pleasures in such a way as not to injure future ones. Wealth is the slave of a wise man, the master of a fool. As long as you live, keep learning how to live. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. No man was ever wise by chance. He who has money cannot be punished. Order is most helpful for clear assimilation. In all matters, before beginning, diligent preparation should be made. Do not avoid doing small services. They will think that you are also capable of big ones. It is better for you to be unhappy right away than being happy without reason. Happiness is the repression of suffering and anxiety. Is freedom anything other than the right to live as we wish? Nothing else. In banquets, remember that you entertain two guests, body and soul. And whatever you shall have given to the body, you soon eject. But what you shall have given to the soul, you keep always. Be careful with who you communicate with. People tend to imitate habits. Those with whom we interact, we inadvertently adopt their interests, their opinions, their values, and their habits interpret events. A hypocrite can be spotted by 3 signs. When he tells, he lies. When he promises, he violates. When he is trusted, he betrays. What do people have the most? Hope, because even those who have nothing else have it. People will never trust a person without a share of doubt. You can only tell the one who trusts you. If you were answered with silence, this does not mean that you were not answered. Win your friends not with empty flattery, but with sincere words of love. The greatest victory is overcoming your negative thinking. Power is the near neighbor of necessity. As soon as you awake, in order lay the actions to be done the coming day. Ability and necessity dwell near each other. People are frugal in guarding their personal property. But as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. The sun also shines on the wicked. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. He who is brave is free. Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears. The willing are led by fate, the reluctant dragged. Anyone who has no need of anybody but himself is either a beast or a god. He who is to be a good ruler must have first been ruled. Whatever lies within our power to do, lies also within our power not to do. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. Confine yourself to the present. Because a thing seems difficult for you, do not think it impossible for anyone to accomplish. Do not shy away from business, but do not fuss too much. Capture your reader. Let him not depart from dull beginnings that refuse to start. A person's weakness is shown in his inability to refuse. Every man can tell how many goats or sheep he possesses, but not how many friends. It is our own evil thoughts which make us. Freedom will bite back more fiercely when suspended than when she remains undisturbed. Time is the soul of the world. Be a good son, just brother, spouse tender, and good father. Even as truth, does error have its lovers? Without friendship, no communication between people has value. You married a crazy woman if she says you're perfect. When the word does not strike, then the stick will not help either.